Everybody, we are back. It is Taped on Live's favorite podcast, favorite channel, favorite everything. We are back. You already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL for me, at mholder95 for Matt, and of course pandasubs.com, discount code TDL for 35% off. All right, so we are back today, and we're talking Dylan Parham and Adam Butler. So of course deep dive into some players that might make an impact this year. But we got some news, man. Me and Matt were talking about all this stuff happening. We got some reporting today to talk about before we get into that. So Jeremy Fowler wrote today about the Raiders and quarterback battle between Aidan O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. He said O'Connell probably has the slight edge. I really don't know what probably means, but
probably has the slight edge.
And Davante Adams is a big fan of his. Adams is a huge fan of Aidan O'Connell, so that means he's a starter. And but he says Minshew has come in and shown moxie. He's changing plays at the line of scrimmage. I'm told he's been good at the off-script stuff. Many have pegged Minshew as a favorite, but O'Connell's sort of a wild card. Fowler went on to say quarterbacks could each get a preseason start, which would not be surprising how close things are.
Yeah.
So, what are some of your thoughts on that, Matt?
I mean, I feel like that's good to know. Like, it's good to hear, but I almost feel like we've been saying that for a little bit. Like, O'Connell's probably the favorite, probably has a little bit of a leg up. And I mean, I think of the two, it seems like he did play a little bit better in the OTAs and minicamp, although both, from what we heard, was not very good. It did seem like more of the positive talk was centered around Aidan O'Connell than Gardner Minshew, at least. And then, too, like a little bit of the Minshew showing up the off-script stuff, like, that's one of his strengths. Also, one of his weaknesses is he tries to do it too much, and sometimes he thinks he's Patrick Mahomes. So, yeah, it is good to hear, but I feel like it's a lot of like almost what we'd expect at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the big part of it to hear is that Adams likes O'Connell.
Yeah,
and yeah, that's gonna play a big part in this. See, you cannot throw Minshew out there if Davante Adams is like, get this guy out of here, man, try to throw me the football, right? Yeah. So that's a big factor in all of this. I mean, he has a lot of power there. You already know he does, especially with who gets to play quarterback. I think he was part of the reason that Jimmy G didn't even start to end the year. I think he was like, you got to put Aidan O'Connell there. I still believe that. And every time he talks about Aidan O'Connell, he never like gets into like a situation where he's like saying bad things about him. I always talk about how like, how hard he fights and stuff like that. So that's the edge that Aidan O'Connell has in this whole thing, is that Davante Adams knows that I could be productive if he plays. As he feels like I could be more productive. I can have some more impact on the football team if O'Connell plays. So that's the big thing that I hear from that, because he does have a lot of sway.
Yeah. And I feel like too, like I think they touched on it in the article too, like obviously both guys don't have familiarity in the system because it's brand new, but like at least Aidan O'Connell has the familiarity with the guys and the other receivers, because the receiving core hasn't really changed much other than Brock Bowers. So I do feel like that's like, I feel like that was something that Fowler pointed out too, is like that's kind of helping out too. And like you said, a guy like Davante, like being in your corner, that's a good person to have right there. I mean, obviously he's the best player on offense and the center point of their offense. So if he wants him to under center, you got to imagine that's probably going to happen. Plus, I mean, Davante had a hand in Luke Getsy getting the OC job, I'd imagine too. So
yeah,
Davante's got the pull in that organization.
He picked the OC. He's definitely going to pick the quarterback. So this is the Davante Adams offense, to be honest. I mean, because he loves Luke Getsy. Like, Luke Getsy, I'm excited. I don't have to learn anything. And then we're hearing he likes O'Connell. We've already got our we don't have a competition no more, to be honest. But
yeah, and Davante, I think probably had a hand in getting McDaniels fired and then naming APOC. So I don't know. I guess Davante's wearing a bunch of different hats with the Raiders right now. He's GM, owner, wide receiver.
A lot of power, man. He does. He does. Because they want to keep him. They want him there. They want him.
Yeah.
They don't want to trade with the Jets.
It's kind of funny. He's almost become like somewhat like the Aaron Rodgers of the Raiders. Not that bad. I mean, he's still showing up to minicamp and not going on an ayahuasca retreat or whatever, but like in terms of like having a little bit of pull and a little bit of sway, he's had pulled some moves the last couple of years, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. After seeing those no-look passes Aaron Rodgers throwing, maybe the ayahuasca is working. So maybe I don't know.
Yeah. He's got vision. He's got his vision.
All right. So we're here talking about some players. So we're here to do some breakdowns once again. So we got Adam Butler and Dylan Parham. We're going to do today. What are your thoughts on Adam Butler and then re-signing him, and what's his role going to be on this football team?
Yeah, so Adam Butler was a guy that like during the season I actually wanted to do a couple times, just for whatever reason never worked out. I ended up doing other guys through at different points when he had big games and stuff like that. But I mean, I think everyone knows like he was a huge contributor for him on third downs as that like pass rushing defensive tackle. Pretty much the perfect complement to John Jenkins, who we know is a big dude who's not going to give you much on passing downs. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to break down and show a little bit of how he contributes to the Raiders pass rush, because it's more than just him winning like with pass rush moves and getting sacks, even though he had 5 last year, which was pretty good for, again, a guy that doesn't play every down and a guy that is, I think it was maybe his career high, if not up there or anything, something like that. So, but on top of it, he also does really good on stunts. That's actually I think where he's at his best and where he helps out the pass rush the most. Like I'll show a few of those where he really did a good job of it. And I think during the year, there was a few times where I kind of pointed it out, obviously covering someone else and talking about that, where he really sets guys up really well. And then too, he had a bunch of batted passes this past year, so he got good at that. And of course, he can win on his own. So I kind of want to dive into the 3 different ways basically that he's able to impact the passing game and kind of highlight that for him. Because again, I think that's going to be his same role in this year. Christian Wilkins obviously going to help, but I think having Wilkins and Butler on the inside as a pass rushing duo is really going to help free things up for Crosby, like we've been talking about a lot this offseason. And he's an intriguing player, that's for sure.
Yeah, Adam Butler, he definitely has a role that he could play, and he definitely made an impact last year too. I mean, it's somebody that was familiar with the defense and how Patrick Graham wanted to use his defensive line and just everything that kind of goes with the Patriots system. So he's familiar with that. So then to bring him back again, kind of a different coaching staff. He still had some production when AP was coaching as well, and they kind of changed up some defensive line and some looks and went a little bit more Steve Spagnuolo with the some of the defensive line looks. So yeah, if they feel like that he can definitely contribute, man, as somebody, a good player for sure for them to have. I went over Dylan Parham. I think Parham's pretty good, man. I think he's pretty good. Is Parham's main issue is that when he goes against like an elite guy, he gets his butt kicked. And I feel like that's his next step of him becoming like a more known guard, better guard, is him kind of doing well against those guys. Now, I know some of his PF grades are here and there, but a lot of it is like he recovers really well, so he can get beat initially, and he recovers well because he has really good feet. And he's athletic guard. So a lot of things happen with him. He has good recovery skills, and I think I got a couple of clips of that. But he does well in that area, so it might look like he's getting beat a little bit more than he actually is if you're just kind of watching it. You might even count it as a loss, but he's able to recover a lot. But I think that he has a chance to just take that next step. One, moving over to right guard, I think is going to help tremendously. He's really good in zone at left guard last year when they're running more outside zone to end the year. So I think that he has a lot of upside to him too. Like he could take the next step and become a really good guard, in the NFL. He just has that. He has the athleticism, especially in his zone system. He has athleticism. He has enough power for it. He's good lateral movement, and he's solid in pass protection. Like I say, he's great, or even that he's good right now. I'd say he's solid. It's just more is that he plays Chris Jones twice. I don't know where the defensive tackles are playing this year. It's just when you see a great defensive tackle, you're like, uh-oh. That's what I'm with Dylan Parham. But other than that, he's done pretty well though.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Parham gets like a little bit more hate this past off season, where like I feel like people aren't as patient with him, like and whatnot. But I feel like coming into this year, like he hasn't been bad, like you said. He just hasn't been good to great or anything like that. I think he's just been okay and serviceable. But yeah, I am interested to see how he does going back to the right side and diving into that. But the only thing that like concerns me too is like, and I don't know why it took me long to realize this. You know, he's listed at like 285 on the roster.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, which like makes sense with what you're saying. You're like, oh yeah, he
Yeah.
struggles with power and whatnot. And I mean, Chris Jones outweighs him if that is the case.
Yeah.
And like I feel like those are the times where like he will get like blown up at the point of attack, like either as a run defender or not as a run defender in the running game and in pass protection. So
yeah, he can get beat down, man. I'll tell you that. It's just a great guy. So it's not really some average guy. It's not going to do that to him. But like Quentin Williams, like Jeffrey Simmons, those type of dudes, they will work him. And I don't know. He's got to figure that out. How do I beat the best in the NFL? Mm-hmm. But to me, that's it's a knock, but it really isn't a knock. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I'm just curious too. Is he a guy that like he just gets overpowered, or is he like flying up against someone and like his technique goes to crap, like as he like gets in his own head? You know what I mean?
Overpowered, or they get off too quick for him.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, it's an elite guy. Basically, he's gonna get off really fast. He's gonna be really strong. He's gonna have great technique. And if you make one mistake, he always just like either gets off. It's just always like one mistake that he makes. It is just he's getting bullied by Quentin Williams or like the other dude Franklin Myers. It's just those type of dudes, right?
Who's now on the Broncos.
Yeah, the guys who get paid a lot. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's great. Yeah, the guys who get a lot of money to the passer.
Yeah, and that's I think too comes back to the size and the strength issue. Where like if you get like overpowered at the point of attack, what you need to be able to do is drop your ass in the anchor. Or like either way, either as a run blocker or in pass protection, just to avoid getting collapsed. And if you don't have enough behind you, that's hard to overcome.
Yeah, it is, man. All right, let's get into Adam Butler first.
All right, you got me up there?
Yeah, there we go.
All right, cool. So like I said, kind of wanted to start with a few of the stunts that I thought Butler did really well on last year, just looking at a couple of these games. Now, this one, like, I think one of the biggest things is he's like aggressive and he gets off the ball really well. So like he sells this pretty well so that the guard almost just thinks it's like an inside move. And you can see too, like right here, he's got his eyes on the tackle to be able to go and attack and be physical with Panda Supplements here and get like that pick like in basketball. Now the ball's out way too quickly for anything to come of this, but like you can see like that perfectly frees up Max Crosby where another half second he's at least hitting Goff on this play. But again, a little quick game here, but good example of what he can do on the stunts. Going to be a little defensive tackle twist or TT stunt here, and you can kind of see more of the same. Like again, balls out too quickly, coverage wasn't great on the back end, but like this is the other thing I like too. Like if you watch like his first steps forward, so that's going to get this guard to like kind of come with him because the guard just thinks at this point, oh okay, he's just working an inside pass rush move, so he starts to chase him. But what actually ends up happening is he ends up running into Glasnow, the center here, and basically setting the pick for Bilal Nichols. Again, because the guard just thinks he's working an inside move with that first step, by the time he recognizes that it's a line game, it's too late. And Nichols is in this dude's face or in Goff's face to get a hit. We just got to do a better job covering it up on the back end. Similar one here. This one, Tillery's going to loop around, so guess more of a TE stunt. Well, what I liked about this rep too, and again, they get Zach Wilson to flush out of the pocket on 3rd and long. So perfect. Set up the field goal. Force him to kick the field goal, I should say. What I like about this one too is like he's going to get off the ball and attack the center, but the center is turning left, which means the guard's going to move left too, especially once Spillane drops. So Butler recognizes that and then just starts working into the guard that, again, is going to have his attention. That takes the guard's attention, and it's the same thing. Like by the time the guard recognizes it, like all he can basically do is, try and clothesline or grab Tillery, and we're flushing Zach Wilson out of the pocket. So that's the biggest thing too, is like he gets off the ball well, and he knows who to attack and when to attack them to draw their attention so that he can free guys up to go get pressure. And that was something I thought was his biggest contribution, because he would free up guys like Max Crosby quite often. We get back-to-back clips here. No. Oh, no. We got this time he's the looper. So, yeah. This time it's the opposite. Get a little ET stunt with, I believe that's Malik Red, who had a brief stint with the Raiders this past year. But what I like, too, is like the same thing. He sells it really well by coming up field initially to not tip the stunt. And then when Red dives inside and this guard follows him, he's able to loop around, go get a pressure. Again, not the cleanest in the world. It's still a 300-pound dude who's not going to be sprinting into the backfield or anything like that and getting the sack here. But we get Wilson off his platform a little bit, make him move, and maybe even throw this a little bit sooner than he wants to because it is overthrown. And as we can see on the back end, I know we don't have a great view of it, but Ja'Cory Bennett step for step, we're forcing the quarterback into throwing into a covered guy at that point. And again, well incomplete. Moving on to the batted passes, the Lions, in this game, they made a conceded effort to do these little quick snaps and hurry up offense to get the Raiders pass rush off balance. And when that happens, it's hard to work a pass rush move. But that's kind of the nice thing about Butler is even when he doesn't hit home, he's always getting his hands up and trying to get in the way of the ball and ends up getting a deflection here, even though his pass rush doesn't do really anything because of that quick game. And they had a stunt going on here too. But this was 3rd and 9. And if you look, Nate Hobbs beat by a couple steps. We got a block here on the edge. That's a touchdown. That's a touchdown if we don't get that ball bat at the line of scrimmage. And I think this was 3rd and 9 or something like that. So saving a touchdown and forcing a field goal at that point. That's a 4-point play right there.
Yeah.
This one against the Jets isn't going to be the cleanest batted pass. I think he actually gets this with his elbow here. I'll back this up and slow it down a little bit. Right there, he gets it with the bicep. Doing those curls in the gym pays off, and it still gets to his target. But as you can see, just watch the spin of the ball. It starts to knuckle, and that makes it harder to catch. And again, I think that was another 3rd down. So just some of the things that you can do even when you're not winning as a pass rusher to impact the game. And he was pretty good at getting his hands up and at the very least making those throws tough for quarterbacks. Moving on to a little bit more of the traditional rushes. This one, Butler kind of just makes it play more than anything with his motor. And some of the things that I like that are pretty consistent with him is he's physical. He has good pad level. We can see here, his helmet's underneath. Got his hands inside too. So he's getting the leverage advantage. And what I like too is he recognizes that how he's built. I say this with air quotes. He's only 300 pounds, which isn't that big for a defensive tackle in the NFL.
Yeah.
So he knows he can't just run through 75's chest right here and collapse the pocket. So what he starts to do is work to get on an edge and take on half the man. As you can see, you can see what that does to the offensive lineman. It gets them all out of whack. And then two, with him keeping his feet moving and again, just never stopping rushing, he's going to be able to get the pressure here and then force Goff to get rid of the ball. Now, again, short completion, so we'll take that, but see a little bit better from the back end here. Nice hands. Again, working to get on the edge. Just never quit. Helps when you only play once every 3 downs or whatnot, but I do like his motor.
Fresh energy all the time.
Exactly. This one might have been my favorite rep just because it was going up against Penei Sewell, who was a first-team All-Pro this past year. But you can see a lot of the similarities, physical at the point of attack, getting his hands inside, pretty good pad level. I pause this a little bit, you can see right there. Gets under the helmet and stands Sewell up. And then 2, work to get on an edge. You're not running through Penei Sewell, who was 340 or something like that. You're not running through his chest, but what you can do is win with a nice little arm over on the around the edges of him. That's going to force Goff to just throw it away. Pretty good rep against some damn good competition right there.
Yeah, actually that was.
Penei's a damn good rusher, or pass protector, I should say. So this one, what I really like too is I think this is where the veteran savviness for Butler pays off. If you watch his first step, he's going up the field, maybe even a little I guess, outsider to the center's left here. And then on top of it, he has the quickness to then beat the center across his face and go get a pressure. Now, he doesn't get the clean win here, but what I liked and why I wanted to highlight this is look at the bind this puts the guard in. The guard is going to look for work, and he sees his center losing to Adam Butler. So he's like, I got to go help my teammate. And this is what the Raiders want. They want a one-on-one with Max Crosby in the right tackle. Granted, Penei Sewell's not a bad matchup for the Lions, and the Lions do chip block Max here to help negate it. But like this is kind of what I wanted to show, like with how big interior pressure can help Max Crosby out. Because when we don't have a tight end here, but when our nose tackle can get pressure and occupy two offensive linemen, now we get the one-on-one with our stud versus their stud, and we'll take that matchup every single time. And again, adding Christian Wilkins to the mix, and with Adam Butler too, I just think you're going to get more opportunities like this where Crosby's going to be one-on-one with guys. And I mean, Malcolm Kuntz gets some pressure here too, so force another throw away from Goff.
And they're getting a lot of pressure on this Lions defense. Watching this,
dude, the Lions O line was good last year, and this was one of the D line's better games. This one we're going to get a little bit of some movement pre-snap to throw off the guard, so we're not going to sell it vertical this time. Now he does go for the hand swipe and doesn't quite win. Like you can see, like the O lineman still got his hand on his chest here. What I like is he doesn't quite hit with the hand swipe, but he just turns it into a rip move. And then from there, he like uses the offensive lineman as leverage to help turn and bend and turn this tight corner. And I mean, this should have been a hold, should have been called like easily. But even so, like he's forcing Goff off the spot, swiping at the ball and making Goff throw without his feet underneath him. That ended up being a pretty damn dangerous throw, which Goff doesn't really do too often. But when you got pressure and you got a 300-pound dude coming at your feet, you got to get rid of it, and it ends up being an incompletion. Let's see which one we got here. Another one too, like you can see too, like he's aggressive, physical, nice little arm over. This is a nice move for him. Knocks the arms down and still gets some pressure. Like beautiful rep, just never stop moving the feet. Ends up getting the pressure. That was honestly one of his. Looking back on it, it's honestly one of his worst reps of the bunch, and was another line game here. Like you can see too, like just catch this guy's leaning. It's a nice little arm over move.
You watch that play. You just add in Christian Wilkins.
Yeah, instead of Jerry Tillery here.
Yeah, because look at Tillery not doing nothing. And look at everybody get pressure, but you add in Christian Wilkins, and I feel like that's going to be a problem.
Exactly.
That nobody's talking about. This is a problem. But anyways, sorry, Mac, you go ahead.
Oh, you're good. No. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this one was a nice one, too. See the same thing I was talking about earlier? Like he's actually going to be lined up as a 2-eye on the guard. For some reason, steps with his inside foot first. I don't know if he was like looking to see where the center's turning, if he's supposed to attack him. And then with the center turning left, he just switches to the guard. But same thing. Like he gets to square on this guard, and now like the guard's got to stop his feet, or the guard ends up stopping his feet because he doesn't know where Butler's going. He's got the two-way go right now, right? He can either go outside and win around that edge, or cut inside and win on the inside around that edge. Ends up getting a nice little arm over. Again, balls out pretty quickly. Like you can see, like he's got active hands and just never stops rushing. And I love the fact that I love just how he sets up this move, and most of his moves here, like just getting a square, using his hands, and then fighting through.
Can we stop the no-look passes? I need to stop.
Part of me wonders if Aaron Rodgers was like bad for Zach Wilson because he's like teaching him all this stuff when it's like, no, dude, you don't need to work on that stuff. If we found out anything from your pro day, it's that we don't need all the trick throws. We need you to figure out how to hit the 5-yard out.
I know Aaron was in his head, bro. Like you're not accurate like Aaron is. Aaron is naturally just super accurate. You can't do these. You can't do that, man. You got to get your feet set, bro. You can't. Don't learn from him. All right. Anyways, that was a great breakdown, though. Aidan Butler definitely has a lot of, a high motor, right? That this whole team is going to have on third down. I mean, if you just think about, even if you have Tyree Wilson, I know some people, kind of expect Tyree Wilson. Maybe they're going to mix it up, right? But even when you have Tyree Wilson mixed up in there, just the motor of all four of those guys, like if the secondary could just hold up and make the quarterback pull the ball for any amount of time, like I feel like with the motor, somebody's getting there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, like the thing that's nice is like Tyree can rush on the inside. So like say there is a situation where maybe you just want Christian Wilkins to play 2 downs, maybe in like the second or third quarter, give him a blow and save him for the fourth quarter. Like you could put Wilson and Butler in there coming off the bench fresh. That could be a nasty little duo on the inside too, or a nasty 4 guys with Kuntz and Crosby out on the edge. So yeah, I think you're right. Like the secondary just needs to hold up. Just give them 2.5 seconds each play, and someone's gonna hit. Someone's gonna hit break free and get there. That's the biggest thing. It's just, do we have the guys that can keep people locked up for that time, for the 2.5 seconds?
Yeah, because what teams have to do is what you're showing was with Goff is get rid of the ball quick, and that's why you gotta, especially with how zones working, you gotta have the linebackers too. They gotta be in sync. Spillane, Diablo, but Spillane is on it. Spillane, I've watching some film and I was watching Trayvon Morag, that Spillane does a good job of making quarterbacks hold the ball a little longer. So he does a good job with that. He really got a lot better with that last year, but. It's going to be on the linebackers too, especially with how much zone they play. It's going to be really important for them to kind of stop that, make these quarterbacks think, oh, I can't go there. And then he's like, oh, but it's a short, quick, I want a quick passing concept. Yeah, and then I'm getting popped because the guy's not open, and then I have to hold the ball, then I try to make a play or something. Those are things that the linebackers would be a big deal with too. So.
Yeah, that was one thing I noticed by like just rewatching that Lions game, is like the Lions did so much stuff. Like the Lions were very clearly worried about the Raiders pass rush, and I mean for good reason. Like they were doing stuff like that, like the quick play, the quick snap that I showed earlier, like that was happening pretty frequently, and they were breaking the huddle, doing a ton of quick game. Like I think you're going to see that a lot from other teams, which can be good because that gets other teams out of the game and helps protect you from getting beat deep.
Yeah, for sure. If teams want to meticulously go down the field every time, that's not going to work. So, that's how you can hold. And if the Raiders play good in the red zone too, that's how you can keep teams just they do those long drives that just get 3. It's a little demoralizing, in my opinion. So, that's why, the defensive line is going to really keep teams in check. And that's why they're going to help the secondary, regardless of what we think of those actual players, because they're going to have to dink and dunk.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Got to be able to tackle on the back end, though. That's for sure.
Yeah. Hopefully that happens. Oh, man. All right. So let's get into some Dylan Parham. All right. So getting to Dylan Parham here. So we start off the run game. So a lot of zone, right? I mean, there's a lot of zone from this Vikings game here. I believe. So it's outside here.
Yeah,
you see just the movement, the natural movement he has, right? It's just he's fit for the zone game. I still, when Josh McDaniels drafted him, I always thought it was a little weird because he just isn't a power guy and they run a power system. But he's such a fit for what James Craig wants to do. Perfect fit. You can see the movement skills, even because it allows him to play with rhythm, in my opinion, and he has good technique too. So I mean, he started his hands outside a little too right, and he found a way to get him back inside against a pretty good player in Harrison Phillips. There we get some push. You see Jacobs just kind of do his thing. So it's just natural for him to be in this type of system. You can just tell he's built for this. Yeah. So that's why he might just make a leap and have a big year. So you see him here again. So you just see how it's just natural for him to move horizontally like that, or laterally, or however you want to describe it. Right, he does a good job here. Just keeps pushing. Maybe you could say a little bit of play strength issues on this one against 52 here, but you see it still does the job. I mean, this is a good 5-6 yard run. He's not hitting that guy until at least 5 or 6 yards, right? That's still like a 7 yard, 8 yard run right there. It's just technique wise. You talk about reach blocks. You always talk about getting your helmet on this side, right, on the shoulder pad here. You see, he always does that too. He always does a good job of getting that. He's built for this. This is what he's should be in, and that's why they brought in James Craig, because I think these guys are built for this outside zone, it's wide zone game. Right, so now you see it on the power run too. Gets a little help here from Munford, but you see he does a good job of even flipping his hips and sealing off the block from the inside. You just see athleticism, just gets around there quick. It's fluid. I mean, he looks like he's a 290-pound guard out there. Let's just keep it real.
Yeah. I mean, look at him compared to Thayer Munford. He's a big dude. He's little. Just a little guy.
There's a little guy out there. Now, you see here, he gets a little help from Munford again, but like I said, he does a good job of flipping his hips right there. Jacobs is running, all the way over here. I still think, you still see he did a good job against Harrison Phillips. Like I said, he's not like a Quentin Williams, but he's a damn good defensive tackle there. You see, he does a good job against him there. Hands inside. He just fits what they want to do on these outside zone runs. This is why it's zone game. All right, I got another one. Back side here. Check it out from this side. You see it? All right, so he gets the Giants here. Some more zone here. It's not moving on mid zone. He gets some help here, right, from Colton Miller, but it still shows, in my opinion, his athletic ability here. Like, see how athletic he is. They're both able to get pushed, which then holds off 56 here because of both the push that they're getting on the combo block. Jacobs, I think, cut it back way too far, but
no, that was a nice adjustment because the defensive tackle actually did a decent job of splitting the combo, and then, like you said, like for Miller to peel off and get the backer, it was a nice little touch for them to pick up on that.
Yeah. Push, yeah. All right, it's Giants again here. So this one's some more power here. It gets, sexy Dexy. You see there? I mean, it's a pretty good block, against Dexter here. So you're able to hold up against a monster of a human being. But if let's say if Jacobs went there, I mean, he's not gonna. I'm sure he just would have been shed. He doesn't have leverage there at all. But because he's not, it looks like Lawrence. He's 2 gap in that, isn't he? He's not 1 gap in that.
Go back a little bit. Yeah, it looks like it. He's in a 2 gap stance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is just a monster, man. It's crazy. All right.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good. All right, so here's again on this one too. Like I said, just the way he flips his hips too. So he gets in one direction, he could just get his hips around really quickly, get his hands back inside, good pad level. He has great technique. It's just he's a little undersized. And you'll see it here on this one. Now we're seeing against Mr. Williams. See, this is where you see the play strength, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, now his pad level is high because he gets elite players going to get even lower than he is, right? He's going to lose that leverage already, and he's going to get pushed to the side.
Yeah.
He just got tossed. All right, here's another one here. And this time he just kind of gets bull rushed a little bit, right? He just gets caught off guard. Like this guy time the snap up. Didn't even get a chance to get his hands up. But you notice on some of his earlier reps where he does this bear hug and then he adjusts, and now it's kind of just bites him in the ass here. This dude just goes right into him. I don't know who the Jesse line coach is, but that dude, he can coach because I feel like I saw him in Thomas.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Maybe he just wasn't Thomas on the team when he was on the team?
Maybe the rookie year, I think.
Yeah.
Like maybe 1 year.
Maybe. All right. A little bit in space too. You know, sometimes in space because he's not like a I'm going to pancake you aggressive guy. Like sometimes he gets, you know, what's the word they used to say about Sean Alexander? I can't remember. But you do. I don't know. I don't know what the word term is.
Ask me.
Somebody. but you know, he kind of just gets worked here in space, and this guy just kind of you know, Ivan Smith had a crazy game against the Raiders, but he was able to just move around him and get a play there. So some of these things happen pretty often in space. But let's get into pass protection here. So here he is. He's gonna get a bull rush. See, he's able to reset his hands there after the initial push, because the initial push kind of takes him back a little bit. He's able to reset his hands. Not have the greatest anchor, but it's enough to hold up. That's what you're going to see a lot. A lot of guys like the bull rusher because he's a small guy. He's going to get bull rushed, you know, so it's something that's going to happen to him a lot. But he just has great technique, so he's able to use whatever power he's got, kind of hang on there. All right, so here's another one here. All right, got a little fake punch in there a little bit, but we even see here this guy tries to power through him. Might get a little fake punch there, right? Get him to reset, but even he has good leverage, right? Pad level maybe a little high, but it's all right. But you see the guy still power through him a little bit, and he's not gonna be able to hold on for too long. Yeah, it's just, you know, he just doesn't have the power there.
By the way, that's former second-round pick Jahad Ward.
Oh yeah, It's, Reggie McKenzie. It's like, hey, I told you, if we had better coaching. All right. Here's a really good rep from him in pass pro. He had a really good game against the Giants. All right, you see that's a pretty great rep here from the guard. Great hands, great pad level. Able to anchor a little bit, do that bull rush. It's a good rep there. I like that one. All right, here's another one. So I mean, because as a guard, you're facing bull rushes a lot. So I mean, it's really important for him to have a good anchor too. And his anchor is good, right? It's just, you know, when you get some better players, that's kind of the issue, because you see it here. He's not getting, you know, it doesn't look like how it looked at the Chiefs game or when he's facing like DeForest Buckner and guys like that. That's what he has to do these type of reps against those guys. That's what I want to see from him this year.
I feel like a big part of it is his hands. Like if you watch,
go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say, I feel like a big part of his hands. Like if you watch this rep against, I think that's Ashawn Robinson. Like he keeps his hands in tight versus like what he was doing before in the running game, where he's doing that bear hug thing and exposing his chest. Like if you watch his hands here, like they're nice and tight inside on I think that's Robinson's chest.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you kind of see it there on this one too, when he kind of has the hands outside and then kind of get into his chest a little bit, get a push, and already at the quarterback. So he just, because you're right, if his technique's not correct, he doesn't have the power to make up for it.
Yeah.
So he's just like, this is a perfect example of this. You know, He just got lifted off the ground, basically.
Look,
and like, yeah, it's not gonna work.
Look where his hands are, wide.
Outside, wide. Intercepted. All right, against Williams again here. See, just wide hands again. Williams is inside and just runs through him right to the quarterback. It's literally like the elite players just beat him up, and that's his biggest issue. And it's a lot of that is, what you talked about is with his hands, and it's just so consistent on film. It's just crazy to watch him against like some average normal dude who looks like a Pro Bowler, and then here comes Quentin Williams just right there. Like, you even see the move that Williams puts on him here to get his hands inside, right? And then sweeps inside, gets his hands inside there, and just runs right through him.
I feel like too, like he had him on that. Go back to that rep, like with his get off. Like if he's just more aggressive, like he had him, but he just kind of like stands straight up and waits for Williams to come to him instead of like just taking the fight to him. I know it's not play action, but if you want to jump set a guy and you get the jump on him, like capitalize, especially on a guy like that.
Yeah. And sometimes, like maybe a quicker guy like 91, like Franklin Myers here, who is on the Broncos, kind of just go right past him sometimes, like DeForest Buckner's, those type of guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, that this one's a little bit like, maybe I feel like what you're talking about too, like maybe he's just waiting too much. He's just kind of just.
Yeah. It seems like to me, like he goes up against better guys. Yeah, he's like unsure of himself. He like when he goes up against better competition, he's like not confident to be as aggressive as he is against lesser known guys. Just from watching a little bit.
That's weird, man. All right, man. Well, that's Dylan Parham. Like I said, I mean, he is a solid guard in the NFL. Like that's, the solid to above average guard. I think he's already solidified himself as that. You know what I mean? That just really not much talk for me for going, over the film. You could definitely tell that he's a good guard. He's going to be somebody that, will probably play in the NFL for like 10 years, right? He's going to be a guard like that because even if he doesn't work it out with the Raiders, somebody's going to sign him, right? He just has that kind of ability and a lot of things he can do. So he's going to be that type of player. It's just, can he take that next step and be better against the elite and great defensive tackles that are in this division too? It's just not, you got Dooley coming. Dooley ain't no joke either. And you have Franklin Myers with the Broncos, Chris Jones. Oh, those are the type of guys that he's got to deal with. And like looking at the schedule of some other teams, I'm pretty sure that they're facing some pass rushers. I mean, got the Cam Hamburg's coming to town. Those type of dudes are the guys he has to get up for and have better performances.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think for me too, like we touched on it, like the biggest keys, like for that I was noticing were pad level and the hands, like the bear hug, that stuff, like. Especially when you're high, you can't do that. And especially when you're not, 315, 320 pounds, like it's the stuff you just can't get away with. Like you got to clean up. Like you got to play to your strengths, which is getting leverage and keeping everything tight. So you keep guys off your body. And I think that's where, when we're looking at him, when you're talking about like going from the solid starter to the good to great starter, like that's the thing that he's going to especially have to do with him not being the biggest dude in the world.
Yeah. And maybe the right side helps him. I don't know. Maybe that's a psychological thing with the left side. I don't know. We'll find out with that. But yeah, it's more about like, can you block Chris Jones yet? That's what we need you to do.
For sure.
All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode with Adam Butler and Dylan Parham. Make sure you guys check it out. I did Luke Getsey's passing offense the other day, so go ahead and check that out. That's a video that I did, kind of looking at his game versus Chargers. And so we could do more stuff like that. I'm gonna start adding some stuff like that. Their 12 personnel looks. Kind of getting to that offense a little bit instead of covering, kind of talking about Aidan O'Connell sucking against the Vikings. I almost did that game for members. Sorry, guys. And I was like, you know what? Nobody wants to watch this. Nobody wants to watch this shit. So we're gonna do more things with Luke Getty, and then of course we're gonna keep pumping out these videos, guys. So we'll see you next week. All right, peace.
Yeah.